bacon now. We're out to get the hunt. We don't want the bacon. We don't want the bacon. What we want is a piece of the rye. We'll hit Bill the Kaiser on the head and make him wiser.
In July 1914, Austro-Hungarian Archduke Franz Ferdinand was shot while spending time in Serbia. Many World War I historians will tell you that the bullet that ended Ferdinand's life was the main contributing factor to the start of the Great War. We all know about the men fighting on the battle in the front end, but what were the women in the background doing during World War I? Everyone today knows that Allied countries such as Russia, Britain, France, and the U.S. won the war. And on Women's Fight for World War I, we have 4 prestigious historians to argue the idea that the other side would have won if it had not been for the women helping fight behind the battlefield. The Great War shaped Europe and America on the battlefield and behind the scenes. War is always good for the economy. Factory production ramps up, and the countries earn millions in exportation. But with all the men off fighting, who was there to work the jobs? The answer is the women.
Yes, the women working during World War I were absolutely essential. They were the ones making bullets and guns in the factories. They provided food and took care of the children all at the same time. 16% of the women left domestic services during the war to take on other jobs.
200,000 women took government positions while their country was part of the war. 250,000 took on agricultural positions. 700,000 worked in munition factories, and on top of all that, 500,000 women became clerks. That's 1,650,000 total jobs. There is no way England would have survived the war without these women and girls taking over the workforce.
But women didn't just work in factories and farms. There were women facing the battle head-on.
Some women were absolutely nurses during the fight, but they were also female spies. Dozens of women took the Allied side and went on the inside to spy on the Germans and others.
Okay, the nurses in the war had it rough. Although they weren't necessarily the ones fighting with guns and cannons, they endured the same conditions as soldiers did. The women worked in field hospitals and mobile units with essentially no days off, even in thunderstorms and dreadfully hot days.
There's a different kind of fighting at the front of the battle, too. One that even the other men fighting didn't know about. Women that dressed as men to become soldiers. These women had guts, determination, and an overabundance of patriotism. Today, both men and women can join the military, Navy, and Air Force. But for women back then, it was a whole other battle to fight for their country.
Woman soldier was Maria Botchkareva. She actually put together troops of her own of about 500 women, and they fought in the Battalion of Death. When you cry, down with the war, you are helping to destroy free Russia. We must beat the Germans first, and then there will be no war. Maria cried this out when her own troops wanted to draw back and desert the battle. Maria had a plethora of patriotism inside her, but not everyone under her command could keep up. During the Battalion of Death, Botchkareva sustained many injuries and bullet wounds. She passed out during the fight due to loss of blood, but woke up later in a hospital to find that her troops had won.
Women weren't allowed to sign up for the army, specifically for the reason that government wanted them to take the jobs that the men were going to leave. Over in England, Dorothy Lawrence didn't care about the rules. She wanted to fight for her homeland.
She was originally a reporter, but posed as a man in battle. She made connections with the soldiers from France, and they gave her uniform components bit by bit. Over a bit of time, she transformed herself into a man and joined the
World
army.
War I was going on. Many women wanted to enroll in the U.S. Army, but they wouldn't allow women to fight in the war because they needed them to take the jobs that were vacant for men who left to fight in the war.
But the Navy quickly started to enroll women to get more people in war. Many women, though, would help with the war from staying in the United States. Many women volunteered and helped the organizations such as the YMCA.
And although women were finally allowed to fight, the battle for women going about normal life was raging strong. Some women backed off the fight for equality, knowing that the country was going to have enough to deal with by joining World War I, but many did not. President Wilson neglected the women's cries throughout 1917 to 1918. He was soon being referred to as President Kaiser Wilson because of his lack of action.
The women that participated in World War I put up a fight on the field and off. Their work supporting the economy and protecting the men in uniform were critical to who won the war. And of course, the women who fought with the men helped bring us to victory as well. In the end, all of the hard work and determination paid off. for women's rights were soon to near men's.
I want to go back to San Francisco.
In the limelight.
Excuse to say Pacific.
What is it?
Specifically,
Women weren't allowed to work in. Did it start at the right
we
time?
don't want.
Yeah.
Yes, the women working during World War I were absolutely essential.
When we're dense.